Excellent. Here we are, and I am about to interview. How do I say this? A duo of pioneers and of the future of cinema, from the founders of Legion M, and of course I'm talking about Paul Scanlan and Jeff Annison. Um, I'm obviously nervous because I'm really excited to be speaking with you guys.
You don't need to be nervous. Come on.
I mean this because you guys, I'm going to say right out of the bat, just so that we get this out there. You have made and produced some of my all-time favorite movies, hands down. Mandy, I'm obsessed with it to the point that I have a small group that I just started, and we just discuss Mandy, what we think it is, what we think's going on, the and the accomplishment of, because this is the first thing I want to talk. I want to start with Mandy because that's my favorite. I want to get that part out of the way, but I believe that Mandy accomplished something unique by using the vehicle of horror. It tells the most beautiful, colorful, psychedelic love story that I've ever seen of pure love. Am I close to what was attempting to be achieved there?
I would say absolutely. I mean, Panos is really, I mean, we back the movie, we help support the movie, and one thing that I would say about Legion M is, we get behind visionaries like Panos, the director, and we support them in their vision. And Panos had a vision for Mandy, and the result is clearly
It speaks for itself.
it speaks for itself. Yeah.
So our involvement with Mandy was with Spectravision.
Right.
So that's Elijah Wood's company with Lisa Whalen and Daniel Noah. And back then, oh my God, I'm totally blanking. Paul, help me out.
Josh Waller.
Josh Waller, yeah, Josh Waller. And so that was our connection to the film. So we can take zero credit for the creativity and the vision and all that sort of stuff. I think that, what we do take credit for is getting behind, someone like Panos. We always talk about the fact the best thing that Legion M can do is find artists like Panos and Nacho Vigalondo and some of these other amazing artists that we're dealing with, and then kind of get out of their way.
And one of the things that we were like specifically involved with, not creatively, but as helping to finance, was bringing in Johansson to do the score, which I think was a genius move by Panos and Josh to get him involved.
Critical.
Because I think as a musician and artist yourself, you can appreciate, like, I think it's still, like, I think one of the greatest cinematic albums. I mean, it's really, and it's profound.
I agree with
Its
you.
impact on the movie is so profound.
Huge. It's huge. And the use of King Crimson at the beginning
Yep.
to segue into to and you know
To an era, yeah.
to an it's unique, man. I mean, and the whole, I have to say that I almost feel like what he's accomplished in the film is this truth in that even in the most despicable of vile ugliness is beauty if you're willing to see it. If you're simply willing to see it. And that's what I see because I've had some odd experiences in my life, and some of them have been pretty rough. And you would think that I would not like horror, and I typically don't. But I do not see this as a horror movie, and it doesn't seem that obviously Legion M is not exclusively involved in horror. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah. We like getting involved in a variety of projects. We want to back. If you look at our slate, like we're really emphasizing original ideas and like things that might otherwise not get made because they don't fit nicely into the kind of typical Hollywood paradigm. And we believe that by uniting fans together and having fans as our community and our shareholder, it gives us a license to go work with Panos or Adam Egypt Mortimer or Nacho Vigalondo to do things that are unique and kind of break the mold. And Panos did that with Mandy. I mean, it's a movie that I think is wildly unique and visionary, but still got a 4-minute standing ovation at Cannes Film Festival. And that, I think that's an accomplishment.
I called
that visionary that is appreciated that way.
I called everyone I knew the first time I watched. I'm not kidding you. I called everyone I knew because I wanted to be the first one to go, you got to see this. And remember, it was me that said this. Remember. You know what I mean? Now, who's the director from Island of Dr. Moreau?
Oh,
Richard Stanley.
Oh, Richard Stanley, yeah.
How did. It's an Italian. It's not. It's Spectrovision. So, okay.
Spectrovision. But so, yeah, he did Color Out of Space, which is also another great movie.
Yeah.
Now, how did you get involved with Kevin Smith?
That's,
you want me to? You want to go, Jeff?
I'm dying to know this. I mean, because I love Kevin Smith. You can't. I don't give. Nobody can deny it. He's an epic. He's an icon, and he.
We had the best intro ever to Kevin Smith because this was back, I mean, gosh, almost 5 years ago, we were working with none other than Stan Lee on a virtual reality project where it's actually, that's a remarkable project in and of itself. You know, we wanted to sit down with Stan, capture a hour and a half long interview with Stan under the highest possible fidelity virtual reality that existed, to man, and just capture that as a moment in time. And we asked Stan, hey, we're doing this interview. Like, we want to ask you all the questions, the fanboy questions about the creation of Spider-Man, but we also want to ask you the deep, real questions, what's the hardest day of your life and how did you get through it? And we said, who do you want to interview you? And he said Kevin Smith. And so that was our introduction to Kevin Smith. I can't think of a better possible way to meet Kevin than to get an intro, a request from Stan Lee to, hey, can you talk to these guys?
That's like winning an award. That would be like winning an award to me. You know what I mean? That sort of endorsement is like winning an award.
Stan, first of all, was a huge supporter of Legion M's business model. In fact, he was quoted in the LA Times as saying that he thought Legion M was a good idea. He only wishes he had thought of it. And, so Stan was a lovely, lovely supporter of ours. We did multiple things with him, as Jeff mentioned. We also organized to get Stan Lee's hand and foot imprint at the Chinese Theater. That was Legion M that did that. And because we felt like he deserved it. So we took it upon ourselves and united fans, and we had this really special day. And so that was another opportunity where we invited Kevin to get involved. So Kevin, pretty soon is like, man, what is this Legion M company that is doing all this cool stuff? So we met with him. We took him through our whole model. I think when we finished, he's like, you had me at hello, basically. He's like, you didn't even need to go through that whole pitch. He's like, I think this is just the coolest thing. He's a fan. Kevin is not only a creator and a celebrity, but he's also a fan, and so in Stan Lee's the same way. They just immediately get what it is that we're trying to do. And, Kevin at that time, he told us, look, let's work together. Let's find ways to work together. And, he was at the time putting Jay and Silent Bob Reboot together. And, it was just perfect timing. Consequentially or coincidentally, we had, a big part of Legion M, because we have a growing community. We're always, we don't want to just be like Jeff and I are picking projects and everyone else needs to like them. We're always looking to our community to help us, cover new creators and to guide us on, if we could work in Hollywood, if we could work with anyone in Hollywood, who would we want to work with? And, we asked that question a lot, and regularly Kevin Smith was at the top of the list. And so we knew that our community would already support the idea of doing something with Kevin. So when Kevin pitched us on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and getting us involved, it was kind of a no-brainer. And to be honest, we have other, projects that we're looking at together, with him. We're not only going to do Kevin Smith projects, but absolutely. We love Kevin. He's been, so lovely to work with.
You know, you hit on something very important, I think, earlier when you said that Kevin's a fan. That's been something I've lived as a mantra. You need to be a fan first. I'm a fan first. I love every second of what I do. I love everything about our world and our business of show, and I love the people that make it possible. And so I always come to it as a fan first. And that keeps your head level, I think, at a lower to the ground place, and which is kind of what I think is a beautiful hallmark of what I see as you guys. You guys are cooperation. You symbolize to me cooperation, and also like the fan owned concept.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
that's really what Legion M is all about. I mean, the whole company is founded on this idea that you and I, like the three of us, we run the industry, and not directly, right? Because individually we're just consumers, but
Right.
collectively we decide what to watch, and we literally decide what wins and what loses. And so this idea that if we could, as fans, band together and aggregate our purchasing power and aggregate our voice, and for us with Legion M to create a company that literally gives fans a voice in the process and a stake in the outcome, is really a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, none of this stuff was possible up until a couple of years ago when some securities laws changed. And Paul and I had been monitoring those securities laws, through another project and some other stuff that we were involved with. And when they changed, we recognized that this is the first time in history that a company owned by fans was possible. And it seems like such a no-brainer, but it's we thought this is like literally a once in a lifetime opportunity to go out and do something that could really fundamentally change the world.
Now, when we set out and started Legion M, our promise to our community was that they would have a voice in what we do. And it was probably the one thing that we were promising that the most people who kind of, got involved were kind of skeptical about. Like, I bet I won't have a say, but I still think this is fun. And the reality is that, like, Jeff and I don't feel that way. Like, we want their input. We think that's one of the key advantages that Legion has. I mean, of course, we have the advantage of supporting a project when it comes out, but to be able to choose projects in a smarter way, like the Moneyball approach to Hollywood, like getting fans' input early and having them involved in the development process, we think will make us a better company. Like, we're about to kick off our third round of doing Sundance with our Film Scout app. And this is an app, it's a game that everybody plays. It's like fantasy sports for film buffs that we play at Sundance to choose which movie at Sundance does our community like the most and should we get involved in. So we've done it. This will be our third year. The first year we got involved in when we actually acquired the rights to a film called Memory, The Origins of Alien, which is 90+% Rotten Tomatoes, incredible movie. Last year we got involved with a movie called Save Yourselves that Bleecker Street bought, and invited us to get involved. And this year we're going to Sundance looking again.
Save Yourself, by the way, is incredible.
Oh, yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
And the Memory, The Origin of Alien is incredible, because that's the first movie that scared the shit out of me when my dad took me to see it. And you don't even see the alien. You only see it for a split second. Every bit of that fear is implied in the action. You know what I mean? It's all implied, which is a demonstration of brilliance that's difficult for me to compare. I use a model kind of what you're doing in a way. Like, whenever I'm going to make merch, I do a coloring contest, and whichever image is the most selected, that becomes my merch item. The Broken Lizard comedy troupe, they did a sort of a version, a very small scale, but I think they were, the model you have is the superior one. They did Super Troopers 2 by having the fans, and then they allowed the bigger donors to come in, and they did it as a one-time thing. I think they would have been smarter, but and I did all the music for that movie, so keep that in mind next time you got a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow,
awesome.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that was one of the greatest.
That's the one that Fox Searchlight distributed. Yeah, that was a great one.
I loved doing it. I loved the idea of writing. It was never like anything I'd ever done before, because a song is something that you want people to hear. You focus it out, but this is, you're watching the action, and it was amazing to me. And to me, the artistic community has been so beautiful because it's the place where everyone can belong, regardless of politics, regardless of anything. And obviously, I think now that definitely needs to be protected. But you guys do something very special. You are uniters. And I mean it, and I want you to know, from a person within our community, how much I appreciate what you guys do and how important it is to just regular old schmoes like me who see it, because it's important to have hope, and it's important, especially in this modern time right now where seems like dreams aren't possible. To see it going forward is critical. Just to be able to see what direction to go in is sometimes heroic. I was in a terrorist attack 6 years ago, and people were getting up to run for their lives, and there was a survivor's guilt that was happening. But once they realized that by escaping, they showed 15 other people where to go, they were heroes just by moving forward. And I want you to know that I'm telling you on behalf of myself, Queens of the Stone Age, on so many artists, we love what you do. And just a side note to this, we thank you very much for what you do, and we salute
Well,
you.
thank you. No, it's really nice to hear that. I mean, we feel the same way. Like, when we look at sort of society as a whole and how fractured it is, it is something that we truly believe, we can unite and find common ground about the things that we love and the things that we're passionate about, and we stay away from political projects that are overly political, because we want our community to be a melting pot, and we want them to come together and to be able to have a dialogue. If they end up talking about politics amongst themselves, that's fine, but we want everyone kind of united around the creative content, because I think that supersedes your politics, or how you're feeling about things. And and we do need things that unite us together and bring us together. So, to hear you say that is really, it's satisfying, because it means a lot. Like Jeff and I, when we start a company, it's not just about like doing something to make money or whatever. It's about having a purpose. And, we feel like Legion M is a purpose driven company. It's something that we in our heart of hearts, like we live and breathe it, and our team lives and breathes it. We believe in it. It's like it, and we believe in the value that it can bestow, and what it can do for society. We're pragmatic. We don't feel like we're gonna solve all the world's problems, but we feel like we can contribute to to finding and healing and relieving. So
Or the
thank
escape.
you. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
The escape. And one of the reasons why Mandy is so important to me personally is because I used movies as part of my therapy to recover from Paris. I did. And it was part of my therapist built regimen and Mandy was the movie that helped me get through so much weird shit, man. I mean, for me, it would probably be a unique experience, but I was so grateful at that time when I was like, this movie's coming out. Wow, I'm going to check this out. And I worked through fear. I worked through all kinds of shit in that film. And the end of that film, when Nicolas Cage turns that crazy look to Mandy, and you see how he sees it, and then you see how it is, that was what I experienced. And I got to see it end in a movie. And when it ended for me, man. I mean it.
Wow.
That is really
I
powerful.
can't even imagine what you must have been dealing with and how traumatic. I mean, the world was traumatized by what happened that night, and to be there, I just can't even fathom what that would have been like.
One day I have to talk to Panos, because in an event like that, I'm probably going to be startlingly calm, but it's because I wanted to get better. But in an event like that, you see terrible things, but if you're willing, you see beautiful things. I saw 3 people jump up and jump in front of bullets for their friends. Now, even the Bible tells us that the greatest love you can give is that you give your life for your friends. I saw it 3 times. So whatever anybody wants to make about that, what I saw was the most beautiful demonstrations of love without hesitation, 3 times in a row at a rock show. That means the world's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful interpretation.
Wow.
Which is what I took away from that, which is what I can take away from Mandy, which is why I initially were like, I got to meet these guys. I got to know who these guys are about, because
Well, we got to get you on the phone with, or get you on a line with Panos sometime.
because your words have iron in them. Integrity is not something you see a lot, and you guys practice what you preach. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors in showbiz, a lot of people saying they're for the people, but I want you to know that we as fans see that your words have iron, and it matters. And I want you guys to please keep doing what you're doing. And if ever there's some sort of like stupid short film where you need some hilarious butt shaking music, please keep me in mind, because I want that on my resume. I want that on my tombstone, man.
There you go.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jesse. I really can't thank you enough.